Buenos días, muy buenas tardes, muy buenas noches. Este es Luis Alberto Jovel de luisjovel.com, de Notas Teológicas y en otros lugares donde usted me puede encontrar. En esta ocasión estoy entrevistando a Michael Jones. Michael Jones tiene un blog, o mejor dicho, un blog, una serie de videos en YouTube que él ha puesto donde él toca muchos tópicos, en especial la evolución y cómo entender la escritura. Y su website, usted lo van a ver en las notas, van a ver el link ahí, se llama Inspiring Philosophy. Así que yo quisiera darle la bienvenida a Mike. Mike, bienvenido, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes, we've been trying to get in touch for some months now, and Mike, as you, or Michael, as you know, as you would think, he's from the USA, so we have different timetables. We even got confused yesterday. Uh, the minute I was thinking about sending him an email, trying to tell him that in 24 hours we will be doing this interview. He sent me an email telling me, "Are we doing this tonight?" So yes, it's a confusing time difference, but I'm glad that we finally achieved this. So Mike, can you tell us something about yourself? A bit of background, please.
Yeah, so I basically do a lot of work on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel called Inspiring Philosophy, and we create a lot of videos defending Christianity from various angles, like arguing for God's existence, explaining difficult passages in Scripture, as well as looking for evidence in biblical archaeology. We have a whole series on the resurrection, New Testament reliability. So we cover a large area of different topics.
Mm-hmm. And a bit and do you by this by yourself, or you do with a group of people, or how does this come about?
Nope.
No.
I basically do it all by myself for
Oh,
the most part.
then you're better than me. And,
It's a lot of
uh,
work, but
yes.
it's rewarding.
Yes, and what's your like educational background? What have you done to inspire you or to equip you to do this?
Well, I do have a degree in video editing, which allows me to craft videos
Oh
and build
yes.
graphics for them.
Mm.
But other than that, that's the only degree I have. However, I might be attending the University of Arizona next year to get my degree in philosophy.
All right, that's great. That's great. And no wonder now I understand the quality of your videos. I was thinking this guy must have someone else doing his stuff, and because I can see the quality also of your presentation. It's not the visual and the audio, but the presentation itself is quite good, and that's what caught Matthias first, and then my interest in you. Um, and let me encourage you to do your degree, and also let me congratulate you in that you not having these tools. I seen you debate other people who claim themselves to be experts in the issues that you talk about, and practically you expose them that they're not experts. um,
Yeah, I mean, people just need to be honest about themselves. I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm just a video editor. But I refer to experts and I quote experts a lot, and I try to understand the arguments well. And I think that's what most people should just do. I mean, admit what you are and just focus on the evidence and the arguments.
so this is encouraging. A lot of people, and mainly in the Spanish-speaking world, they think that just we have all these wacko doctors in theology or whatever that they say they're doctors, but when you ask them, do you know what these other scholars say? I said, who's that? And just what you did in one of your videos. They don't have an idea who you're talking about or what you're talking about, and it's a challenge for them. It's a challenge, and you kind of say, well, are you a doctor in theology or what are you then? So yeah, you don't need to have a doctorate, even a master's degree in theology, in order to understand these issues. You just have to, well, like you said, you have to be honest and read the experts.
And that's
That's
what I encourage people to do.
all right. So let's get into these topics that I sent you. There are four questions that I want to cover with you. The first one is the role of apologetics in evangelism, faith in evidence. Mike, many Christians downplay the role of apologetics in evangelism, arguing that the sole preaching of the gospel and the work of the Holy Spirit is enough to draw people to Christ. Could you explain why this is incorrect and incoherent with the evangelistic work of the apostles in the book of Acts and how faith is defined in the New Testament.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people who say that just haven't read the New Testament. If you read all of the sermons in Acts, never once do they say believe because you can feel Jesus in your heart or anything. They cite the evidence. Peter does it in Acts 2, for example. He cites prophecies, he cites the witnesses that were before them, and he says believe because the evidence is very clear. He doesn't say, well, just make sure you can feel Jesus in your heart. When Paul is on the mission road, he is constantly appealing to the evidence. In Acts 17, for example, he's talking to the Gentiles, and he says, you know, we can have assurance because he's raised Jesus from the dead, and we have all witnessed this. So he appeals to eyewitness testimony, and he appeals to the evidence of the resurrection. This idea that you're not supposed to do apologetics is actually anti-Christian. It's the exact opposite of what the apostles did and what the Christians did. And that's what we're encouraged to do, which is to appeal to the evidence. Otherwise, Jesus would not have rose publicly and appeared to the disciples and to skeptics, even like Paul at the time. If it was all just about internal feelings, there would be no need for that. But Jesus appealed publicly and convinced people publicly, and he wants us to do the same. We need to appeal to the evidence and to what we have. I mean, he even says in John 14 that believe on him because of the evidence or the works that he has done. Don't just trust him blindly. Trust him because you've seen these miracles before you.
Because faith is something that it's being projected, that we Christians is like wishful thinking, that we wish this will be true. That's faith. That's what people say faith is. But what they're saying, what we know, we as Christians, faith is based on something tangible, real, that can
Right.
be.
And
Yes.
faith in the Bible is not defined as some sort of like feeling or absence of evidence. I mean, faith is very much the idea that it's confidence, loyalty in God. You know, it's defined very similar to our English word trust. We trust in God, but we don't trust in God without evidence. We trust in God because we have plenty of evidence, that he has given us plenty of evidence for his existence. No one believes on blind faith. That's never been encouraged. So when people say this, they really haven't studied what faith means in the New Testament.
Yes. What you the point that you touched regarding faith as loyalty, faithfulness is some scholars like N.T. Wright and Matthew Bates. They are putting forward this understanding of faith, an understanding that the church has not actually, after the Reformation, they haven't put so much emphasis on. But faith as loyalty, it's a big one in today's society, I guess, as it was in the first and second and third century when the church was persecuted. Faith as loyalty, it's both pastoral and logical. Because our faith, we are faithful to Jesus because what he has done. So we have faith in what he did, and also we remain faithful with our faith, continuing. Can you tell us? Can you tell us who are these people, for the audience, the Spanish-speaking audience? Who would be these people who are saying that our faith is something that we hope for, that we wish for, an instant tangible, instant logical?
Well, it comes from a lot of atheists. So they're telling us what our own words mean. They're defining our words for us. And this is a straw man. That's what this argument is called. You're setting up something like a straw man in order to easily knock it down. But that's not what faith is. It's not how it's never defined in the Bible. And what skeptics do, or the atheist community sometimes does, is they cherry pick verses out of context in order to say that faith sort of means blind belief or blind wishful thinking. And that's just absurd nonsense. There is no New Testament scholar, as far as I'm aware, who defines faith this way. So it just doesn't make sense, and it's inconsistent with the New Testament as a whole.
Yeah, I think you touched on this issue right on, because what you said, these people are trying to define our terms, our faith, what we as a church, I believe, and they try to redefine it to mean something else, and by that trying to win an argument.
Exactly. They're trying to tell us what we are supposed to mean by our own words. And quite frankly, it's ridiculous, because faith basically means the same thing as loyalty or trust. I trust my wife, but I trust her because I have really good reasons to trust her. I trust that my bank isn't going to steal all my money, even though I have a savings account. Why? Well, because I have good reasons to trust the bank. Likewise, I have faith in God, but I don't have faith without evidence, or I have faith just on blind belief. There are good reasons to put my in Jesus or my Jesus.
Yes, yes. What Paul says in Romans 1 as well, about believing even because of creation. And I know that this is another topic, but having someone design everything is not out of random. So there's a reason to investigate this.
Exactly. And even in the book of Acts, it talks about Jews that were in an area called Barren. And Luke says they were more noble than the Jews elsewhere because they searched the scriptures to verify that Paul was right. Okay, obviously researching and studying and fact-checking makes you a more noble Christian. So right then and there, we see people were using evidence and reason to come to the truth of Christianity.
Yeah, the issue is maybe today's Christians don't want to do that. We're sitting in our own laurels. We believe everything the leader tells us, and then we follow through. And also, not only a Christian leader, but also, like you said, any atheist leader. I can think of Dawkins. Richard Dawkins has some books in Spanish, and some people quote him all the time. And when he talks about archaeology, again, he says, well, but he's a biologist. He's not an archaeologist, and he's not a philosopher. He may have something to say about his sort of field, but no one has a monopoly of knowledge, and that's what he tries to explain.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to add to that, to your first point?
No, I think that pretty much covers it for the most part. If anyone has any more questions, I have a video called "What is Faith?" where I cover that in more detail.
And I'll put that on the notes. And I don't know if you want your Spanish-speaking people to look at it, and then you're gonna have to talk to Matias, so we can put some some subtitles into it. Well,
sure, yeah.